Take Command Podcast. That's Logan Paulson. I am Craig Hoffman. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about Jayden Daniels, because it's a funny game, Logan, when you can score 34 points, pull your quarterback at the start of the fourth quarter, and you still go back and watch the tape and go, oh, there's a little bit more left here.
Yeah.
They could have scored 50. And sometimes that's football, right? Like every play is designed to work. If that had just been a little bit better, you can do that to an extent every week. I think what's interesting about this one is there's some stuff that he's done pretty frequently this year that he misses in this game. There's a couple missed reads, there's a couple missed throws, and yet the thing that is so spectacular about him right now, and the thing that we talked about this on the Instant Reaction show, and the tape kind of confirmed it, when you can just make a couple of really key, big, explosive plays, you can wipe away smaller mistakes, and you don't have to be as efficient. You don't have to be as perfect as they've been the previous 3 games of the win streak, now 4 at 4-1, because you can make up for little misses with big gains. And I feel like that is the story of Jayden Daniels Sunday.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of what the narrative was going to be. It was like, how do you find explosive plays with how Cleveland was going to pressure you? And I think the first explosive play to Terry is a great example of that. But there's also plays later on in the game. I think you got to give credit to Austin Eckler. You know, that explosive play is huge. And but they all lead to points. They all lead to scoring opportunities. And Jayden Daniels, you know, making free runners miss and understanding when to scramble. And if you are going to play a lot of man coverage and we're going to pick it up and you're going to have your back to the quarterback, he's going to hurt you. And I think that's the cool thing, is that he was able to find explosive plays down the field. The one to Diami is also really exquisite. I mean, that's just such a tremendous throw. I mean, really just a fantastic throw. The scramble on, I think it was 3rd and 7 where he gets the first down. It's like a 34-yard gain.
I think that might have been a 4th down even.
Maybe. But it wasn't as consistent down to down, but he was still able to make enough plays to make the offense right and elevate the offense, which is kind of the whole thing, right? Is we knew that the completion percentage, we knew that the efficiency was going to regress at some point. And so the question then became, like, can you win when it's not perfect? And I think the thing is yeah, like he's shown how explosive he can be. He can show how explosive and accurate he can be. I think my big question coming out of the game is the thing that we said on the postgame show is, can you still do this in a game flow that's going to be a little bit more challenging versus a team like Baltimore, which is going to score a lot of points, which is going to put a lot of stress on you offensively and defensively, unlike Cleveland, which, again, they came with a really nice defensive plan that Jayden handled well, but they couldn't support it with any kind of offensive production, which is not how you play football in the NFL. You mentioned how Owusu-Koramoah looked gassed going into the second half of that game. They were on the field so much, playing so many snaps in so many different situations. They just didn't get any support whatsoever from the offense. So that's the thing that I come back to is, again, I think we keep talking about steps and stages for Jayden Daniels. This is a really nice step and a really nice stage, but the intensity on that is going to get turned up when you play better offenses and a defense that can complement it. So I think that's something that, again, we keep kind of shadowing or alluding to this Baltimore game, and that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, the thing that I have trust in this offense right now is they seem to do everything well. Like, you just have to make a choice as a defensive coordinator of, like, what is it that I want to make them do, knowing that they can do it, but we hope they have a bad day. And obviously, they have run the absolute mess out of the football. With not only Jayden, but B-Rob has got a couple of 100+ yard games. Eckler's been great. Like, they will run the ball down your throat if you give them the numbers to do so. So it's like, okay, well, let's let Jayden beat us from the pocket, because we certainly don't want him to scramble. But he's shown the ability to do that. And there's, if you're going to dedicate an extra player down in the box to run, like, he will pick his matchups. And I think, he's shown a really good understanding of where that, like, the Diami play is very simple, right? He's got one-on-ones. He knows it, but he's like, this Emerson cat has not had a good year defensively for Cleveland. And I think Diami can win here. And even though Diami hasn't had as many of the explosive plays throughout his career as I think a lot of people thought he would when he got drafted, like, he's still Diami Brown. He's still really, really fast, and he trusted Diami to win, and he did, and you have a big explosive play. So I think that's the interesting thing going against Baltimore is, like, and any other good team they place this season is, like, okay, they're probably going to do what, frankly, Cincinnati tried to do to Baltimore last week with Lamar, of, like, can you beat us from the pocket? And in many ways, Jayden's game against uh, against Cleveland was similar to Lamar's game against Cincinnati, where it wasn't the most efficient, but like Jayden completed, was it 15 of 24 or something like that?
Yeah.
We had 238. Like that's not a slouch a day of passing production. So he found the big plays to make the most out of the completions. And even though there's definitely some where there's some plays left on the field, some opportunities missed, the red zone, obviously was not great. That the pick, and he has a kind of a funky throw on the play before it. Like it could have been even worse, even worse for Cleveland, even better for Washington statistically, and even better for Jayden statistically with like one or two more key completions. Like that is the floor underneath him, which is tremendous. Like I hope people hear all that and like, dang, that sounds really negative. No, that's actually exciting. It's like he wasn't this like crazy, historically efficient 80% completion guy, and he was still this productive and he was still this good. That's tremendously exciting because the step that he's in right now is he's finding different ways to win games, and that's ultimately the job.
Yeah, and each week we want to look for some type of growth, and I think that's the thing I just alluded to prior to that. Is it wasn't the cleanest, it wasn't the most effective. I don't want to. I'm so excited for this team and this organization. Like he has all the signs and kind of makings of like what everyone's been looking for here for a long time. But I do think that this team is somewhat imperfect, and I think this offense is still somewhat imperfect from a personnel and talent standpoint, even though they've been playing so well. So that's where, again, like in this game, I was actually hoping that Cleveland could put a little bit of pressure on them offensively. Like let's say they go 3 and out and Cleveland goes down and scores. Does that change how Cliff calls a game? Does that change any of the dynamics in the offense? Do we lose some of that kind of running ground and pound that's made this team so successful? Is that less in the game plan? Is it more on Jayden? How does he handle more responsibility? So I think that's the thing, again, that I come back to. It's like, yeah, was his performance excellent? Absolutely, it was excellent. But I think he was really, when we talked about this a little bit at the top, but he was really supported by the defense. And the defense was able to, at every turn, give him the support that he needed. So 3 and out, it's okay. We'll get that. We'll get the turnover back for you. Oh, they're backed up. We'll get the ball back for you with good field position. Oh, okay, you're backed up. We punted. It's okay. No points here for Cleveland. And they just were able to constantly do that because of, how effectively the defensive game plan was, but also some of Cleveland's ineptitude. So it's great to see the explosive plays. It's great to see the production. It's great to see the composure, all those things we've seen. But what happens when it is all on him? And that's the thing that
right.
I think is like the next step. And we talked about steps, and I think he answered a step here for sure. But just so fans understand, like this, the volume on this can get turned up really, really quick if the offense of the other team is really good. And if you think about it, we've played imperfect offense. I mean, Cleveland, the Cincinnati Bengals is a great example of a really good offense that can execute at a super high level, especially when Joe Burrow's playing the way he did. And I think Jayden met that challenge there. However,
I was going to say Cincinnati was the best one, but also their defense has been horrendous.
Right. And so, Baltimore's a different animal. But again, so all these things are really good. And he took a step. But next week, it's going to be a new step. And how's he going to handle that adversity? And how's he going to handle that moment? And I think those are the things that are really exciting about him, is that despite the adversity, despite the situation, despite the imperfectness of this last game, imperfect in air quotes there, because I think it's still a pretty gosh darn good game, he seems to meet the occasion. So to me, it's like, where's the line? Like, where is he in his final iteration? Like, where do we see him struggle or stumble? And we haven't really seen it yet. I mean, I know you kind of were alluding to the fact that this maybe was a stumble, but to find the explosive plays the way he did, to work and elevate the offense the way he did in certain moments, I think speaks to the kind of talent that he has. And it just, I want to see where the ceiling stops, basically. Where is that ceiling? And I think that's the thing, is in some ways I'm disappointed because Cleveland didn't challenge him in that way. And we didn't get, you know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of how
Browns, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain, although you were exactly who we thought you'd be, because you're terrible. And just to clarify, like I wouldn't say that it's a stumble. He found a different way to be excellent, right?
I don't mean to misquote you there.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good. I'm glad you said it though, because it's a good point of clarification, right? It's not that he stumbled; it's that he did it. He found success differently. But I'd also say this in counter to your point: like if the bar for him to potentially struggle, where we're like, oh god, can he do it against that team? Is Baltimore? Like there ain't 5 teams that are better than Baltimore, and so like look at the rest of the schedule. Carolina, no. the Chicago Bears, that's an interesting one, especially if Caleb gets rolling, because their defense has given up 21 points or less in 10 of their last 11 games going back to last season. The Giants, again, the Steelers, who offensively cannot keep up, even if their defense is great. The Eagles, we'll see where they are by mid-November. The Cowboys, okay, but their defense isn't that good. They're maybe starting to find some things. Tennessee, no. New Orleans, no. Philly again. Atlanta, they've been all over the place. Who knows what they are by December 29th. And then Dallas, like that's it. That's the season. Baltimore's easily, maybe not easily, but Baltimore's definitively the best team you're going to play. And so even if he does struggle and it's like, okay, wow, that was a learning experience. If they were to play Baltimore again, they obviously can't play them in the playoffs, but a Baltimore caliber team again in the playoffs. They make it, they take this easier schedule, and all of a sudden you're in the playoffs facing one of those teams. I have full confidence the way that Jayden's learning curve has been that he'll be better the second time around against that caliber of team. And like, that's kind of the crazy thing with him is like, okay, maybe he will make a mistake, but he's not going to make the same mistake twice. And we've seen that in games. We've seen that almost in drives sometimes. And so game over game, week over week, month over month, I do have confidence that he will find it because I just think he is that caliber of player already. Not that it's going to be smooth forever. Not that he's never going to have off weeks. And we should, remember that he's human in that level. But I don't think the train's going to come off the tracks and crash in any meaningful way, even if it hits a bump in the road and they have to reset on 1 week at some point in the season.
Yeah, no, I see it exactly the same way. Which is exciting. It's when the season started, I never, in my wildest dreams, despite how high I was on Jayden, despite my love and respect for Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and what they've been able to do over the course of their careers, like I never anticipated this kind of turnaround, and it's been really fantastic to see kind of at every level. And it's not one thing, which is the great thing about it, which we talked about when we kind of reviewed that drive. It's everybody's supporting, Jayden's making plays, the effort and attitude of the team is improved, the coaching's much better, and it all of a sudden it just shows you, I think, kind of some of the things we were much maligned about last year with regards to the staff, with regards to the talent on the roster. You just see how that all elevates when the situation's right. And it gives me a lot of hope and optimism that this thing could be kind of what you're talking about. The schedule outside of Baltimore isn't that crazy. I mean, New Orleans has done some good stuff, and Philly's always very, very talented. It's a division game. I'm not saying they're going to win out or anything like that, but all of a sudden there's life here. And I think you see that when you talk to the players and when you hear the players talk about Jayden, it's like, man, he just has it. He's the guy. There's something about him. And there's something really fantastic, thinking back to 2012 for me, about when you have that confidence in that position and when you have that hope and optimism and everyone's working hard, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not just a dark cavern you're running full speed into. It's like, man, if we hit this the right way, we could do something really, really special here. And I think you see that this game is a great data point for that, because of how Cleveland played them defensively, which we've talked about ad nauseum so far. But the fact we had to win it a different way and we could is special.
One thing that I did want to talk about with him, just a sequence that I'm looking to get a little more understanding on, is the red zone sequence where he ultimately throws the pick.
Yeah.
So they have the big play to Terry. Obviously, they get down there. I think they run the ball on first down. And there's two throws that I'm like, what's going on here? And I guess I'm curious in part from the Cliff side of it and part from the Jayden side of it, as they get down there and they're trying to punch it in, because obviously red zone execution is huge. Austin Seibert thankfully has been money this year, so they're able to get the field goal, or they would be able to get the field goal if they can just not throw an interception down there. But I'll phrase it this way, because I want to try to be positive with this, because Jayden deserves that based off how he's played. What can he learn from that? / what is he going to do next time when he inevitably throws a touchdown?
Yeah, what can you learn from it? So let's start with the first one, is Zach Ertz, and they're running basically like what I would call like a pick mesh. So basically you have two guys on the offensive left, they run across, it's man coverage, they try to pick the guy for Zach. I think the timing gets a little bit off, which I think is, again, where probably something most people don't see is Zach's a little bit behind it. So what I mean is, like, you probably want Zach on this clip to be over like the tackle when Jayden's getting ready to throw, as he's going to clear that backside hook defender. So basically, like, there's a guy in the middle of the field. He's the plug player. I think it's Owusu Koromoa. They run this pick, and Zach gets a little bit bogged down. He doesn't clear the hook player the way you'd want him to. You want him sprinting by that guy, and you want Jayden to see that, so he can just lead that nice out in front and get the ball there. But Zach's a little bit high. He's a little bit late. He's kind of stacked over the hook player, so the throw becomes a little bit unclear to me. And I'm sure I've seen them rep that in practice and training camp, and Jayden's excellent at it. Like that guy clears, it's like boom, bang, ball's right there. That coupled with a little bit of pressure on the edge, I feel like he gets in these moments sometimes where he doesn't set his feet. Like he's at his best, like every quarterback, when he sets his feet. And Jayden's superpower is that he can get to that base kind of whenever he wants to, but he doesn't do it here. And he kind of steps away from it, ball's a little bit high, and sails out of the back of the end zone or whatever it does. But I think so. It's a couple things. One, it's the execution on the play. It could be a little bit crisper, and that happens. That this is stuff that happens, and we've seen him elevate plays off schedule and do some things. Didn't get it done here. So to me, it's the timing. To me, it's his footwork. And what I would say if I'm Cliff, I'm just say, hey, you know that he's coming open. Like you see Zach running through here. Just you're gonna have to take a hit for the touchdown. Take a hit, deliver a strike, throw it to grass. It's man coverage. There's nobody there. So if you miss the throwing the grass, I can live with that. Don't give him a shot, basically, is what I would say.
I almost feel like he threw to grass, just the grass was way too far ahead of Zach. And it's like if you could not loft it, but like you put a little bit more touch on that ball, let Zach run under it.
Yeah.
He just kind of fires a fastball to the spot. And it almost felt like a timing route that was clearly not a timing route. It's one you have to see because you have to see him clear. You have to, it's a kind of like a mesh concept, I guess.
You kind of have to, like, the best way I can explain it is you have to feel his speed, I would say, after watching this a lot, like over the course of my career. You have to feel his speed enough to know he's going to clear that guy in the timing. And so I'm not sure you feel that from him. And so there is another variation of that where you run the cross, and if the hook player is widening, you take it high. And so, again, I kind of wonder if they weren't necessarily on the same page because it is bogged down. He didn't run
because it does look like he throws it higher. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, again, all of that starts to me at the beginning of that play where it gets a little bit muddy. It's like it's a little bit bogged down. The timing's not exactly right. He's not set. He doesn't trust it. And if I'm Cliff, honestly, I'm like, if you didn't love it, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with you throwing that away because if we what's the word I'm looking for? If we throw a pick here or if we do something bad here, obviously we lose points. So if you don't absolutely love it, I'm okay with that.
Throw it away.
So that's how I would coach it if I was in the room with him. But so to me, it's a tough throw. It's a tough look. It looks like a bad miss, but I think it's more on some of the other elements of the play.
Yeah, and again, he was taking pressure late in that down as well. So he's kind of fading back, and you kind of understand it. The next one's the one where it's like, okay, what's the coaching point here? Third and goal from the 5, and this is where the pick happens.
Yeah, so this is, I forget what we used to call this with Kyle, but it's like, it essentially plays like a spot route. So you get a corner, the tight end kind of works a wide and release, and then sits in between the two hook players. The back runs hard to the flat, hopefully pulling out that kind of, I think it's the corner pulling them wide to make a window for the tight end. And so really this play is like, it's like a post-up play in basketball. You want that guy to run, the tight end to run, turn around right in the end zone, and the ball is on him. So you're throwing with a lot of anticipation, a lot of ball velocity. And this is one where I think Jayden just didn't read it out. He kind of predetermined that he was going to throw the ball to Zach because that's where the ball should go. And I think when you look at the coverage, you say to yourself, well, there is a soft spot there. But Owusu-Koramoah with the back running to the flat, and again, this is part of the play design, is sprinting that way. And Owusu-Koramoah, to his credit, does a really good job of closing that window. And I think back to the Arizona game, and there was a couple times where the linebacker is pushing to that spot, and Jayden, because of his quick release, is able to get the ball out so fast and so on time and squeeze it in the window. Owusu-Koramoah is a better football player. He anticipates it better. His coverage instincts were better. He's able to close the window. So if you're looking at it holistically, you'd say that's not there. And usually, are you looking at the play right now, Craig? Do you have it with you?
I am.
Is there someone running across the formation toward the window?
Terry is wide open on a slant on the backside of this. And that would be my question, right? So this bunch that they have is on the boundary side. And they have a 2-man concept to the field. So on the offensive left, so the ball's on the right hash. The boundary is the shorter side of the field. For those that have heard that term and might not know it, the field is the open side of the field. So the ball's on the right hash. They motion, or I guess it's kind of a tighter split with Ertz and I think it's Zacchaeus down there. And then B-Rob is the back to the right and going into the flat. And on the field side of this, on the back side, they have some wider splits. Terry's on the outside. I think it's Luke is going to run kind of a corner, and he runs fantastic interference. By the way, that is something Luke McCaffrey is incredible at. He is so good at running interference without picking up offensive pass interference. Like, that is a skill.
Yeah, he does a great job.
He does that, and Terry is wide open. And they're in part because the linebackers have gone to that 3 receiver side and have kind of pushed that way now, in part because Jayden opens to that side. But I still think there's so much space that if I'm like, my question to you actually that I wanted to get to you in this film review was like, did he read the wrong side of the field here? Not that he didn't throw with anticipation to the spot and the right concept if he's going to throw this, but because that's so muddy and because there's just not a lot of space there, should he have just been reading the field side anyway? And Terry is wide open on a slant on the backside of this.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he read the wrong side here, but I do think so what you want to do on this is like once that hook player, once Owusu-Koramoah plays hard underneath, you got to know that they're pushing this way. They're pushing with your vision.
Right.
So you want to kind of think about replacing the zone. The thing about this concept here that it's drawn up is it's like it's a one half of the field and the other half of the field. Sometimes they'll run like a crossing pattern over top where it's like, if that's dead, you just rip it right back to like a shallow cross. Terry's on a slant here. And I don't know, I probably would have worked just looking at how the field's distributed here with the plug player in the middle of the field. I probably would have worked the slant, but it's his prerogative here. And I think I don't know if he thinks this is man. It looks like man, and they kind of zone it. They like match it off. You know what I'm saying? In a way that I don't think he's expecting. Because like I think if you start at the start of the snap, you get 3 guys on the line, right? And so it looks like, hey, we're, a guy's on Zacchaeus, a guy's on Zach, a guy's on the back. So the guy in the back really should push through this window. What's his name? Not Owusu-Koramoah should push through to the back, right? At least that's what I would anticipate. But instead they pass it off. And so they get like a match concept. So I understand why he does this, and I understand why he's thinking this way. However, once you realize that guy's not matching the back and they're passing it off, you can't throw it. You just throw it out the back of the end zone. You could maybe hit the corner in the back, but like you can't. It's not designed in a way, in my opinion, where it's like I work here to there. They're 2 separate concepts. You pick them pre-snap, and I feel like they just kind of got them because of how Owusu-Koramoah played it. Quite honestly,
right. And potentially, like, in fairness to Jayden, right? If you're told all week long, hey, in the red zone, they're going to play man. They're going to man this. Like, we've got him. If you get, this is the look. Like, you would imagine that's probably the conversation. And Schwartz deserves credit for mixing it up and making it, the players on the Browns, like, credit to them for making it look like man and kind of getting him here. So,
just looking at that, like, I think he probably should have, like, once that's dead, the way that the corner played it, I think you want to try to throw the corner. And that's the read, right? It's the spot concept to the corner. And so once it gets muddy, my eyes should flick up and I can put that ball right to the back of the end zone. And I think he just kind of was like, it's man. I know it's man, which we've seen him do before, because he studies so much. He prepares so hard. He's like, I know the coverage. This is how they're going to play it. I'm going to trust my study, which as a quarterback, I think that's one of the most challenging things to do is you have to do that. You can't just read and react. You have to anticipate a defensive reaction because it just happens so quickly. I feel like he anticipated the wrong thing and it led to an interception.
For sure. But the fun thing about him at this point in his career, one for the file, stick it in there. Yeah. Next time he's going to know better because that is how Jayden Daniels operates. And you have faith that he's again, not going to make the same mistake twice. All right, we went a little long, obviously, on the offense, but there's so much to talk about, and we're very excited to see how this offense can perform against Baltimore. So what we're going to do is we're going to release a second film review pod on the defense only. It won't be a full-length pod, if you will, not 45 minutes, but carve out 15, 20 minutes of your day on Wednesday to listen to us break down the defense. So look forward to that tomorrow. As for the offensive pod, we appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next time on Take Command. Thanks for watching this clip of Take Command, which has a brand new home.
That's right. You can watch on YouTube at the Team 980.
You can also listen to full episodes in the free Odyssey app, which is now enabled with Apple CarPlay. So we'll just, follow you around.